Hello, it's Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours. Thank you so much for joining me for our Saturday live stream. Today, we're going to be doing questions and answers. So we have our monthly Retire in Panama Q&A the first Saturday of every month. And it's your chance to ask your questions about moving to or living in Panama. But before we get started, there's a couple of announcements that I want to make. One of them, I want to thank Debbie Klappa is on the line. She's our moderator. So Debbie, thank you for being here. Also, for the benefit of those that it's your very first time to come on our live streams, first of all, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel because then you'll get updates about new videos that come out and any information about extra live streams that we're doing. We have a lot of good ones planned for February and for March. Also, just a little bit of background about Jackie and Panama Relocation Tours. I started Panama Relocation Tours in 2010. Today, we're doing our 200th Panama Relocation Tour. We've helped thousands of people move to Panama the right way, the easy way, so that they can avoid hassles. And that's what we love to do. We love to help people move and to Panama and discover this beautiful country where you can live a much better lifestyle for less money. So we encourage you to come and visit Panama. If you can't come on a tour, come visit on your own. We also offer private tours. You can see details on our website. And we have something called our Complete Panama Relocation Guide that has all the information you need to know to relocate to Panama. You don't have to go on a tour. You can just get that, and it has step-by-step what you need to do. Immigration attorney contacts, real estate contacts, insurance broker contacts, pet relocation, household furniture relocation, how to buy a car, where to get health insurance, all kinds of things. So before I start taking your questions, there's one other announcement that I want to make. I know I probably have some people on the line that are already living in Panama. So I wanted to make you aware of a special presentation that's going to be going on this coming week in Panama. I made arrangements for an insurance broker that's a specialist in Medicare Advantage plans and other expat health insurance. So he arrives tonight about 8 o'clock. Tomorrow morning, which is Sunday morning at 10 o'clock at the Courtyard Marriott Multi-Plaza Mall, he'll be doing a free presentation about how you can use Medicare Advantage in Panama. He'll also be sharing information about two other kinds of insurance. One is an international insurance plan that's very affordable, that even covers pre-existing conditions. And also you can sign up for it up to age 80. And he'll be talking about a medical emergency evacuation, like a flight that will get you out of Panama real quickly so you can get back to your country for medical care if you'd prefer to do that. So the schedule is on Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning, he'll be at the Courtyard Marriott Multi-Plaza in Panama City. On Monday, which is the 6th, he'll be doing a presentation at noon at the Gold Coast Brewery in Coronado. And then on Thursday, he'll be in Chitre in the Azora Peninsula, and he'll be doing a presentation starting at 11 o'clock. And then that's at the Grand Hotel in the Azora. And then on Friday, the 10th, he'll be doing a presentation starting at noon at Hotel Seriana, which is north of Boquete, across from the stadium. For those of you that live in Boquete, you'll know exactly where that is, and that starts at 12 o'clock. So Greg Hovey is his name. He's helped so many expats find the right insurance plan that's a good fit for them. And so if you can make one of those live meetings, that's fine. If for some reason you can't make it and you'd still like to get all that information, which is a lot of people on this line, don't worry. On the last Saturday of February, I believe that's the 25th, we're doing a live stream, and he'll be sharing all that same information during a live stream. So about Medicare Advantage, an affordable international health insurance that covers you anywhere in the world. And you can get a new policy up to age 80, and also the emergency medical evacuation. So I'll have more details about that other live stream. but just know that this information is going to be available if you're already in Panama. So this is how it works with our Retire in Panama Q&A calls. You ask questions, I answer questions. So there's not a button you can push to just talk on these lines. What you're going to have to do is type it into our chat window. There's all kinds of other little conversations going on over there. So I need for you to type 3 question marks in front of your question so that I can quickly and easily identify it as a question, because there's other conversations going on about best friends, or they get together every Saturday and hang out here on our live streams, and I love that. But if you have a question, please put 3 question marks in front of it so I can find it quickly and easily. So before this ever got started, we were asked a question, I think by someone named Kevin, and he wanted to know if there are any medical benefits available for veterans, or any benefits available for veterans in Panama. So Kevin, if you go to our website, PanamaRelocationTours.com, and in the upper right-hand corner is a search feature. If you type in veterans, it'll take you to this article, Veterans Medical Benefits in Panama. And that's where you can learn a lot more about the veterans benefits that are available. There's quite a few of them, so you definitely want to check that out. There's no VA hospitals in Panama, but there are hospitals that take care of veterans in Panama, so that can definitely work. So let me get to this very first question. This is from Harold. Hi, Jackie. If I change my address to my son's address in Fort Worth, how would I get my imported mail in Panama? So Harold, what you need to do is whenever the mail goes to your son in Fort Worth, he could just send you a picture of it, or he could scan it and send it to you and say, do you want me to send this? You know, he can just show it to you in a picture, and you can see if it needs to be sent to Panama. If it needs to be sent to Panama, you want to use one of the mail forwarding companies in the city where you live. And we have an article about that on our website. If you go to Panama Relocation Tours, and if you type in the word Amazon, in the top, then it has a whole article about mail forwarding companies. If you order something from Amazon, if you need to get important mail sent to you, it'll first have to go to Miami. Then from Miami, it's sent directly to Panama. If I order something from Amazon, about 7 days later, it's here in Panama. And it costs a couple, $2, $3 per pound to get that document. I think for a letter, it's 50 cents. So it is going to cost a little bit to get it here, but at least you know you can get it here. So another question, and this is from Heidi. With a $5,000 local corporation residency option, are we still eligible for pensionado discounts? Heidi, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Yes, you are eligible for the pensionado discounts. However, you should know that with a $5,000 corporation, initially you're going to get a temporary visa that's good for 2 years. At the end of the 2 years, you can apply for your permanent visa. When you get your permanent visa, that's when you're technically eligible for those pensionado discounts. So as far as airfare flights go, you won't be able to get it until you get your permanent visa. Most of the other businesses in Panama, like pharmacies, doctors, dentists, and everything else, they'll go ahead and honor the discount even with just your temporary visa. But when it comes to airline flights, you'll need to have your permanent visa first. Okay, another question that came up is, what are some options of beach towns with the best walkable restaurants, markets to have? So I think at the top of the list for a beach town with walkable markets, restaurants, and everything else would be on the Caribbean side of Panama and Bocas del Toro. If you're on the main island of Isla Colón, you won't need a car. Most people get around by bicycle there. There's restaurants, grocery stores, markets all over the place that you can walk to. There's also water taxis are readily available to take you to the other side of the island or one of the other islands in Bocas del Toro. So that would be the number one. The second one that I would recommend would be in San Carlos, which is about 2 hours west of Panama City. We recently did a video about it, so be sure and check out our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com, Panama Relocation Tours. We just did a video about San Carlos. You can check it out there. Okay, another question From Tally. Hey, Tally, I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for being with us today. Is Panama adopting the digital currency program of the USA? Nope, there's been no talk at all in Panama of them adopting any kind of a digital currency. Keep in mind that a lot of people in Panama, they don't have a computer, they don't have a cell phone, they may not even have internet where they live. So I can't imagine that Panama is ever going to go with some kind of a digital currency. But you can't never say never. You never know what the future might hold. But right now, I don't see any chance of that. I know that you guys have asked a lot of questions and it's just scrolling up, so I can't see all of them. I'm going to scroll up there in a little bit and I'll find other questions that you asked. So Barry wants to know, if you get your driver's license verified at the embassy, do you not have to take the Panama test? That's correct, Barry. If you get your driver's license authenticated at your embassy, U.S. Embassy, Canadian Embassy, French Embassy, whatever, in Panama City, then you do not have to take a written test and you don't have to take a driving test. So that's the quickest and easiest way and the less stressful way is to do it. The challenge is getting an appointment at the embassy. Since we got a new ambassador at the U.S. Embassy, it seems like they've opened up a lot more appointments. So we have a link in our online guide about how to get an appointment at the U.S. Embassy. Just follow that to get your appointment. And sorry, I clicked on it, it didn't work. So Paul, if I want to bring in dietary supplements to Panama from the US that are not otherwise available in Panama, it's the only way in my luggage on a plane. So there's two ways that you can get supplements into Panama. One is you can ship them using one of those mail forwarding companies that I talked about. You can even order them on Amazon or wherever else you order them. They'd be shipped to Miami, then they would be shipped to Panama. The other way is to bring them in on your plane. You're not allowed to have supplements in a container whenever you're shipping household goods. So you've got plenty of ways to get things here. Okay, another question from Mark. What is the expiration date on passports when applying for a pensionado visa? So they're really two separate things. The expiration date on your passport has really nothing to do with the pensionado visa, except you have to have at least 6 months on your passport for you to be able to apply for a pensionado visa. If your passport expires after you get your visa, then you need to notify your immigration attorney and they'll update the new passport number and all of your immigration documents, unless you get an e-cedula, which is a national identification card from Panama. And we really recommend you get that after you get your permanent visa. So after you get your visa, your permanent visa, you get an e-cedula, then all of your immigration documents are updated to the e-cedula number, which is kind of like a social security number. It stays with you for life in Panama. It never changes. So get an e-cedula and you can avoid any hassles with changing the passport number. How bad is the seaweed on the Caribbean side? Honestly, David, I don't know. That would be a good question for you to go to the Facebook group called Bocas Breeze and ask the question over there. I haven't heard anybody complaining about it, so apparently it's not a problem, but that would be a really good question for someone in the Bocas area to ask them. I am in danger of having my Social Security suspended if I do not maintain a U.S. address. So you would probably have a U.S. address. If you have a mail forwarding, if you're going to be using a mail forwarding company in Panama to get Amazon orders, to get birthday presents from your family, then you're going to have an address in Miami, and you can use that with Social Security, so you don't have to worry about it getting suspended. Will there be a lawyer live stream be held at any point in regards to the corporate visa? Yes, I'm going to do a live stream. It's another live stream I'm doing in February with an immigration attorney about the corporate visa. It's going to be a private live stream. for the Panama Relocation Tour clients only, and you'll be getting an email about that when it's all scheduled. Thanks for asking. Can you elaborate on Santa Catalina? I'm looking for a beachfront property to build on. So Santa Catalina is a beautiful place if you don't mind being pretty isolated, away from hospitals, away from grocery stores, away from ATM machines and things like that. So if you don't mind that, then it's a beautiful place. If you want to be close to amenities, then Santa Catalina would probably not be a good choice. Another question from Sharon. What exceptions are in place for a married couple and one was born in Panama? So if one was born in Panama and they have their Panama birth certificate, they have their cedula, then you have two choices. You can get your residency visa because you're married to a Panamanian. However, that process takes about 2 years, and it can actually end up costing more than if you apply for a residency visa based on a pensionado visa, friendly nation visa, or any of the other things. But there is a visa option if you're married to a Panamanian. If you go to our website, PanamaRelocationTours.com, and in the search feature, type in other visa options, and you'll see some information about the visa option that you are married, that you were born in Panama yourself, or that you're married to someone that was born in Panama. Is the Panama pensioner visa name as the Panama permanent resident visa? No, it's not. There, all of the different visas that we have, whether it's a pensionado visa, the friendly nation visa, the investor visa, reforestation visa, any of those visas, there's usually 2 steps involved, or there's only one visa that only has 1 step. It's called the golden visa, but all the other visas have 2 steps. So usually you're going to get a temporary visa, and then it could be within 6 months, like with the pensionado visa, you'll get your permanent visa. With some of the other visas, it's going to be 2 years before you get your permanent visa. So with a pensionado visa, you'll get your permanent visa within 6 months. With some of the other visas, it could take as long as 2 years. Are there annual fees associated with a friendly nation visa? So it depends on which friendly nation visa that you get. If you get a friendly nation visa that's based on putting money in a bank account, $200,000 in a bank account, then there are no annual fees that are associated with it. If you get the friendly nation visa based on buying real estate and you choose to put the real estate in a corporation, then there are annual renewal fees for the corporation. If you get the friendly nation visa based on setting up a corporation that hires you, then there's going to be annual renewal fees for that corporation. So it just depends on which visa, which friendly nation visa that you're going to get. Mark wants to know, is it less windy around Dolega? So for those who don't know, Dolega is a really nice town that's about halfway between Boquete and David in the far western province of Chiriquí. And it is a little bit less windy there, but it's still windy. Only in January, February, and March is the main time that it's going to be windy, but it's not as windy as some of the highland towns like in Boquete or Valle or Santa Fe or Volcan. It's not as windy as it is there. So it's a little bit less windy. Okay, Deborah, I've heard electricity is very expensive. Does it cost the same across the country? And what does it usually cost? So, the cost of electricity is not really very expensive, but depending on where you live. If you, like I live in Boquete, where you don't need an air conditioner and you don't need a heater, and my electric bill is rarely over $20 a month. If you live at the coastal areas and it's hot, where it's hot, and you need to run an air conditioner more often, then yes, it can get expensive. You can have $100, $200, even $300 electric bills. So it just depends on where you live. The cost is the same per kilowatt hour throughout the country, but the amount of use can vary greatly depending on where you live in the country. And a question from Butch. My girlfriend is in Brazil. Will she be able to join me with just a passport, or will I need to bring her back to the USA to get married before bringing her to Panama? I would need to, if you could send an email to me, Butch, to info@PanamaRelocationTours.com. I need to look up on the embassy website if she can come into Panama with just her passport, or if she needs an authorized visa to be able to come into Panama. Either way, she would not have to go back to the United States. And if you choose to, you can get married in Panama instead of getting married in the United States. But send an email. I don't have that information about Brazil right on the top of my head, so I'll need to look it up for you. Thanks for your question. Anna says, once obtained the permanent visa, how often do you have to be back in Panama and for how many days? So once you get your permanent visa in Panama, there's no requirement to live in the country, but you are required to come back every 2 years for at least 1 day. So I know some people that they fly into the airport in Panama City in the morning, they fly out of the airport in the afternoon. They got their stamp that they came in, that they were here, but they didn't actually spend many days here in the country. But why would you want to do that? Panama is such a beautiful country. If you're going to come here, at least spend a week, either in Panama City exploring things, or go out to the beach areas, or get a plane perhaps over to David and go up to the highland area. So if you're going to spend the money to fly here, spend at least a week to enjoy the country. So Jill, is the 5K visa option per person or per family unit? So the 5K is the initial application just for one person. We work with 3 different immigration attorneys that do that visa. Each one of them has a slightly different fee structure. You can add approximately $500 extra for each dependent that's being added on. So if it's a husband that's applying, it'll be $5,000 for him, plus another $500 for a wife. And if you have children, minor children, then it would be an additional $500 for them. One of the attorneys charges $600. Most of them charge an extra $500. And of course, everything's negotiable. Whoops, sorry. I'll be turning 65 in September. Can I start the pensionado process now, or do you have to wait until you turn 65? So you don't have to wait until you turn 65, AB, but you do have to wait until you are receiving your pension. So if you can be 47 and already receiving a pension. The age doesn't matter. What matters is you have to have already received at least one payment from your pension, and then you'll qualify for getting a visa. And they'll want to see a bank statement that shows that you've received that. Glenda wants to know what I need to have to open an account in Panama. I'm retired. So I'm not sure what kind of an account. Are you talking about a bank account? So ask another question and clarify it a little bit more on what you want to know. What kind of an account? An insurance account, health insurance account, a bank account? What kind of an account? Jeff wants to know, we'd like to start the Friendly Nation Corporation process before we permanently move to Panama. Is this possible, or is it required that you reside in Panama? It's completely possible, Jeff. You will need to come to Panama just to start the process, and it'll take 5 to 7 days to do the whole process. So plan to be in Panama, I would say, that's 7 working days. So plan to be here 10 days. And then once you get your visa, you can leave. You just need to come back every 2 years, so you don't have to stay here. Raspberry tea, everybody, with some lemon. It's delicious. Can you move to Panama while you're working on getting your pensionado visa? So you can't get a pensionado visa until you have a pension. So you have to already have received your pension. If you've received your pension, then you can move to Panama. But for you to move to Panama and not have a visa, that's not going to work. because tourists can only stay in Panama for 180 days. After the 180 days, you need to leave. So it's better if you make a decision to move to Panama once you qualify for one of the visa options. If you don't qualify for the pensionado visa, there are other visa options that you could possibly get. So Jim says, 30 years ago, I left Panama and I had a cedula. Can I recover it when I moved to Panama to retire? So Jim, all you need to do is go to the electoral tribunal office. There's one in every single city. Show them your passport information and any other document. If you have your visa card, show them your documentation that you had a cedula. Doesn't have to be the actual cedula. They can look up that you had one, and they can reissue a new cedula. It costs $50 to do that. So it's quick and easy. Is there a compound pharmacy in Panama City or David who can make natural hormone? You know, a lot of people have asked me if there's a compound pharmacy anywhere in Panama, and I'm not aware of any compound pharmacies in Panama. Things could have changed since the last time I checked into it, which was 2 years ago. What I would suggest you do is contact expathealthservices.com. You can set up a telemedicine consultation with them for just $35, or even just send them an email, and they may be able to let you know if there's a compound pharmacy in Panama City. I know there's not one in David, but there could be one in Panama City that's just opened in the last 2 years. Monique says, once you receive your temporary pensionado visa, are you fairly likely to receive a permanent visa, or can things go wrong? So the only times that I know whenever someone got a temporary visa and they were denied a permanent visa was when they had a pretty extensive criminal record, and perhaps immigration initially approved the criminal record to be approved, but when they did further investigation, then they found other things that were not revealed. So if you have a clean criminal record, then you're not going to have any trouble at all getting your permanent visa after you get your temporary visa. If you do have a criminal record, anything on your criminal record, we highly recommend that you get a copy of your report and contact one of the immigration attorneys that we recommend, and they can let you know what your chances are of getting a permanent visa and what the process will be to make it happen. So Butch says, I'm one of the more adventurous individuals and I'm interested in getting the do-it-yourself package. Can you tell me more about what is offered in that package? So if you go to our website, Panama Relocation Tours, and you click on online guide, the online guide, it does have a self-guided tour section that has recommendations and all the popular places in Panama, where to stay, how to get there, what the weather's like, popular restaurants, where the expats hang out. So that's part of it. But it also has information about getting health insurance in Panama, buying a car in Panama, getting car insurance, all your different visa options. It has information about all the different places to live to help you create a short list instead of a big list. And we have recommendations for not just immigration attorneys, but also real estate agents, insurance agents, and anything else that you're going to need to have a smooth move to Panama. We also have recommendations for car brokers, which is someone that could help you buy a car. If you wanted to buy a car, how to get your driver's license, the list goes on and on. So just go to our website, click on online guide, and you can read all about it right there. So if anybody has a question for me, just remember that you need to put 3 question marks in front of your question. Otherwise, I won't know it's a question, because there's other conversations going on over in the chat. So if you have a question, it's important to put 3 question marks in front of it so that I know you have a question. Then I'll click on it, I'll show it on the screen, and I'll answer it for you. So Every Season says, I have an adult daughter who is still a dependent. I'm retired military and will be applying for a pensionado visa. Would I somehow be able to obtain a pensionado visa for her? So if she's older than 18 years old, she would not be able to be added to your pensionado visa as a dependent unless you could show that she has some disabilities or for that you're her legal guardian for some other reason. And in that case, then you may be able to have her added as a dependent. Otherwise, she's going to have to apply for a visa on her own. She may be able to get a student visa or the Friendly Nation visa. There's several different visa options for her. Mark wants to know, are private tours available to pick us up in Panama City, tour the Boquete area, and drop us off in Panama City for 4 or 5 day duration? That would not be available, Mark. If you want to do a private tour of the Boquete, it's an 8-hour drive, could be a 9-hour drive to get from the airport in Panama City over to Boquete, and that's just one way. So what you'll need to do is fly into Panama City, then you're going to need to fly over to David, which is in Chiriquí province, and your private tour guide can definitely pick you up in David, do the private tour, and then take you back to the airport in David for you to fly back to Panama City. But they wouldn't be available to pick you up in Panama City. That would eat up 2 whole days, just travel time of making that drive. Michelle wants to know, seeking bank loan information. So if it's a bank loan for buying a house, I can give if it's not a bank loan for buying a house, the chances of you getting a bank loan are slim to nothing. If it's a bank loan for buying a house, first of all, you have to identify the house. The bank will send out an appraiser to make sure you're paying the right price. They'll expect you to put at least 30% down. Some banks require 50% down. And they will want you to have a life insurance policy naming them as the beneficiary in case you die before you pay off the loan. And you should know that all loans have to be paid off by the time you turn 70. Also, current interest rates are about 6.5% for a bank loan. And it's not a fixed interest rate. It could change during the life of the loan. So what you might want to consider instead of a bank loan would be negotiating to buy with seller financing. Then you can avoid all that stuff. No life insurance policy, you're not going to have to pay 6.5% interest rate, and the loan doesn't have to be paid off by the time you turn 70. And by the way, if you're already 69 or 70, you can't get a bank loan in Panama. It's just not possible. So, hello, I received my pensionado visa as a single man and then got married. How much would it be to add a spouse? So you can, it's called a reunification of your visa. And I think that most attorneys are going to charge about the same that it costs you to get your visa. So you're looking at about $1,000 to add your spouse to the visa. And I don't think they're going to get a permanent visa right away. There may be a 2-year wait if you add someone later to the visa. It might be quicker and easier if they qualify for them to just get their own visa. Just because you're married, it doesn't mean that you have to qualify, that you have to apply for a visa together. A husband can apply for a visa on his own, and a wife can apply for a visa on her own, but you don't have to apply together. The trick is that you have to qualify, which means that you need at least $1,000 a month in lifetime income for the pensionado visa. And you would each need that if you were applying separately. So if you were to visit for 180 days, can you purchase local health insurance, or should you purchase travel insurance? You should purchase travel insurance. You're not going to be able to get local insurance for just 180 days. You should get travel insurance. Travel insurance is only going to cover urgent care or emergencies, the things that could put you in the hospital. Anything else is going to be so affordable in Panama. There's no, like if you just need to see a doctor, you can go to a public hospital for $2. So it's very affordable to see a doctor. But for the big stuff, like if you were to have a heart attack or a stroke or something like that, which could put you in the hospital and cost a little bit more, get travel insurance. Casey says, saw your YouTube video that when entering Panama, you have to have $500 cash and may have to show credit card money available in the statement. Is that true? That's true if you're entering on the land borders. If you're crossing from Costa Rica over into Panama on the land borders, then you always have to show that you either have $500 cash, or you can show a bank statement that you have at least $500, or you can show a receipt from an ATM machine that you've recently got out cash and what the balance is in your account. If you're flying into Panama, then they may ask for that, but it's rare that they're going to ask you to show that you have enough money to support yourself while you're in Panama. But on the land borders, it's going to always happen. So Sylvia, Jackie, besides yourself, do you know if a few, some, or many expats wish they had gotten a visa that allows work in Panama instead of a pensionado visa that does not allow work in Panama? I know quite a few other expats that came here with no plans to work, just like me. And so they got a pensionado visa. And then, work opportunity came along and they had to renounce their pensionado visa and start all over again with a new visa. So I'm not the only one that happened to. I do know other people that have had that very same situation. So if you think you might want to work, it would be a good idea to go ahead and get a visa that allows you to work. Keep in mind that if you have a pensionado visa, you can still run an online business, or you can still have a business in another country. You just can't sell any products or services in Panama if you get the pensionado visa. So what's the interest rate on a CD? So it depends if it's a 1-year CD, 3-year CD, 10-year CD, 5-year CD. The interest rate depends. All the different websites post their interest rates online. I can tell you that a 3-year CD, depending on which bank, is paying between 3.5% and 4.5% interest for a 3-year CD. And Boris here, will I get extra support because I'm paralyzed from the waist down? Thank you, Jackie. So Boris, I'm sorry to tell you, well, first of all, I'm sorry that you're paralyzed from the waist down, but there's not a lot of support for disabled people in Panama. There's no vans that can come and pick you up with your wheelchair. There's no wheelchair vans. There's not very many wheelchair ramps in Panama. There's just not very much support. Now, depending on where you live, you may be able to get home health care that can help you with things where you live, but it's sad that Panama is not very well set up for people that have disabilities. So Tally, once a person receives a permanent residency visa, is the lifetime pension income still a requirement? So once you to qualify for your permanent resident visa, you have to show that you have a lifetime pension of a certain amount of money. And if that lifetime pension were to go away for some reason, or let's say you were to cancel it, then you could definitely lose your visa. So the lifetime pension needs to remain in place for you to keep your visa. I'm a disabled veteran. I am liking the idea of Panama or Belize due to a short flight to the US and for VA hospital for something more serious. Have you known others with this situation? So Butch, I definitely have. Make sure and go to our website. I'm going to put this up here right now. Panama Relocation Tours, and then Veterans Medical Benefits. There's actually a hospital in Panama City it's called Breezes, and it's where all the veterans go because they, let me get back over to comments. It's where all the veterans go because you can get all of your medical care there. You can get your prescriptions there. They bill the VA or they bill TRICARE directly, so you don't have to pay up front. But there's also veteran clinics throughout Panama. And there's also, I think, 14 different pharmacies that will fill prescriptions for veterans, and they'll even deliver it right to your house. So make sure and read that article about the veterans medical benefits. You may not need to fly back to the US to get your veterans benefits. You may be able to get everything that you need right here in Panama. They offer a wide range of benefits for veterans here. So Daniel says, is family medical care a good Panama-only health insurance, or pay-as-you-go is better? So, pay-as-you-go is just fine if you're healthy. If what you need to decide is, are you going to exclusively be using the public healthcare system? And if you think that you're only going to use the public healthcare system, then you could just pay as you go. Because even if you were put in the hospital for a week, or if you need to have surgery, it might only cost $300 to $500, where the insurance is going to cost about, depends on your age, about $120 a month if you're in 60 to 69 years old, and a couple gets a little bit of a discount. So it could, be $200 a month for a couple to get the family medical plan. But the family medical plan makes it possible for you to go to the private hospitals and not have to worry about getting hit with a big expense. For example, I got COVID a couple of years ago, and I was really sick. I was in the intensive care for almost 9 days, and it was $15,000. And I was so glad that I had health insurance. Now, I had a private room, but if I'd gone to the public hospital, they don't have private rooms. It would have maybe cost me $1,500 to go to a public hospital when I got COVID. But when I went to the hospital, I didn't know I had COVID. I didn't find out till they did the test. But I'm glad that I was in a private hospital. The private hospitals are a little bit nicer. You're going to get seen faster. There's going to be the nurse to patient ratio is going to be very small, so you're going to get a little bit more care. So it just depends on what your budget is. If you can afford to get insurance, health insurance, get health insurance. And then that gives you more options on where you can go, just in case you have a medical emergency. Also, if you have Medicare in the United States, make sure that you join us on February the 25th when we do a live stream about how you can use your Medicare Advantage plan for urgent care and emergencies in Panama, even at the private hospitals. So we'll have more information about that later. And Mark says, are home generators available in Boquete? So I don't know that they have, they have generators in Boquete. There's a place called Do It Center, and sometimes they have a little store where you can say, I want to order this and this and this, and they'll have it there the next day. But sometimes they have generators available right in their store. I actually bought a generator for my greenhouse in Boquete at the Do It Center store. You're going to have a bigger selection of generators if you go to David and look in Coches or Do It Center or Panafoto or Nove or some of those stores. Then you'll have a wider selection than just what's available in Boquete. Richard, I will be taking my pension and lump sum work against me when applying for a pensionado visa. It will, Richard, because the Panama wants to see that you have at least $1,000 a month in lifetime income that's coming in from your pension. And if you take it all in a lump sum, then you wouldn't have that $1,000 a month. You might be thinking, oh, I'll just put some of that money in an annuity, and then the annuity can pay me $1,000 a month. But it doesn't work that way. Panama does not accept annuities. They only accept the $1,000 a month from military retirement, Social Security, some kind of government pension, or private pension. What is the CAP in Panama? Sorry, I don't know what that is. What is the CAP? Oh, you mean the capital of Panama? I don't know. I don't understand the question. You're going to have to clarify the question a little bit better, please. Hi, Jackie. Is there any advantage for a married couple to get pensionado visas separately, or should we save the attorney fees and get one together? So this is the advantage. You can save money if you get your visa together. The time whenever people might want to apply separately is this. whenever a married couple is applying for a visa together, you have to present a certified copy of your marriage certificate. So if you were married in someplace like St. Kitts or Belize or Malta, and it's hard for you to get a certified copy of your marriage license, then you can forget about the marriage license. If you apply separately, you don't have to show a marriage license. If you apply together, then you do. So the solution, if you were married someplace else and it's hard to get a certified copy, is to apply separately. But you each have to qualify separately, meaning you each have to show that you make at least $1,000 a month in lifetime income. So I hope that answers your question. Robert says, we are covered by an international plan for critical care, but the deductibles are so high, it's difficult to get cheap care in the States. So let me get a drink. Hold on. So there are some affordable international health insurance options that don't have a high deductible. I have an international health insurance plan, and I have a $1,000 deductible, and it covers me anywhere in the world. So there are international health insurance options that are available. So you'll probably be able to ditch the one that you have with a high deductible and get something that's much better whenever you come to Panama. We're doing a live stream about insurance on the 25th of February. I'll send out a reminder about it, but you might want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because then you'll get an instant notification about it also. So Cheryl says, could you have your expats who share their expertise via video share the average temperature and weather in the area where they live? We always ask people to share their living expenses. Some people want to talk about it, some people don't. We can ask them to share their average temperature. The other thing you can do is just, we say this is in San Carlos, and you could just go to Google and say weather in San Carlos, and you can instantly see what it's like there. But we can certainly ask them. We can add that to the list of questions that we ask. Are there any support groups in Panama specifically? I'm not aware of any kind of support groups that are available in Panama City. Are there pest control companies? Yes, there are pest control companies or exterminators throughout Panama, and it's super affordable. I used to have my house done maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and it was $50 for him to do the whole house. But one of my cats got a little bit sick from it. So I used to have 2 cats, and now I only have 1. And so I don't get the house exterminated anymore. But if it's a problem, then you can have the exterminator to your house, probably about $50. So once again, if anybody has any questions, all you need to do is put 3 question marks in front of your question, and I'll be glad to answer your questions for you. And a couple of other reminders. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, because then you will get instant notification about the 5 new videos that we have coming up really soon. And also, there's a community section in YouTube, and sometimes I send out information about new articles and other things. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you haven't already done so, go over to PanamaRelocationTours.com and subscribe over there also. You'll get our free 15-part email series about moving to and living in Panama. That has information about banking in Panama, the best places to live in Panama, health insurance in Panama, all kinds of information. So make sure you go over and subscribe at Panama Relocation Tours also. So Nick here, once we receive our temporary pensionado visa, are you fairly likely to receive a permanent visa? So I think someone just asked that same question a little bit ago. The only thing that can go wrong if you got your temporary visa and you would not get your permanent visa is if you have a criminal record and they find out things about you that you did not reveal in your initial application. Because when you fill out, there's a 9-page criminal history report that you have to fill out to get a visa. Plus you have to show your FBI report or your RCMP, if you're from Canada, your criminal report. And then you're going to sign an affidavit that says, I've had no other arrest other than what it shows right on this report. Well, if they happen to find out that you did have an arrest someplace else, then you would be denied your permanent visa. But if you have a clean criminal record, if there's nothing on there, then you don't have anything to worry about. So Mary says, in the Playa El Rampillo, in the video I've seen, the water is brown. Is it always like that? Would Waray be the same, or would have more clear water? So everything, all the water that I've ever seen on the eastern Azuera is definitely more brown. The water's more brown. And especially if you're coming in the rainy season, because the rain kind of stirs things up. If you come in the dry season, it looks a little bit more on the blue-green side. But if you want more clear water, then you're going to have to go either to the western side of the Azuera around Torrio, or you're going to have to go to some of the islands like the Pearl Islands or on the Caribbean side if you want more clear water and not the muddy water look. Can I find a decent rental in Volcan for $500 or less? How about David? In David, you can find a rental all day long for less than $500 easily. In Volcan, it's a little bit more of a challenge in Volcan. I know a lot of people that have found nice rentals for $350, $450 in Volcan, but they're harder to find. In David, you can get something $250, $350 all day long in David. There's much more inventory there. And Harold says, Jackie, what is the minimum amount of money required to open a bank account in Panama? So Harold, the answer to that, like so many things in Panama, is it depends on which bank you're going to go to. If you go to Banismo Bank, which is one that we recommend, they only require $50 to open an account. If you go to Global Bank, which is another bank we recommend, they require $1,500 to open the account. So the answer is it depends. Do you have a recommendation for the best airline flights to Panama when taking the relocation tour? So Joyce, my recommendation is to go to Google Flights. Just type that in your search bar, Google Flights. It'll show you and you put in the dates you want to fly, and when you want to come, when you want to leave, and it'll show you all the different flights that are available and what the prices are like. If you put in there that you're flexible on your dates, you may find that coming one day early or staying one day extra can reduce the price as much as 50%. So check out Google Flights. Okay, and another question. Does your guide provide information for reputable boat dealers and marinas, shipping companies, or should I just bite the bullet and put 40-foot? So we do not have any information at all about boat dealers or marinas. We did do one video recently with a couple that lives over in Bocas del Toro at Red Frog Beach, and they talked about the marina over there. They said it's very, very hard to get a slip, to buy one or to rent one. It's hard to get a slip in Bocas del Toro. There are a couple of marinas on the Pacific side also, and I've heard the same thing for over there. So before you ship your boat here, I would recommend that you come to Panama, scope out all the different marinas, and see if you can even get a slip on where to put your boat whenever you come here. Okay. So here's another question. Does Volcan and David have a rainy season? I love the rain. So all of Panama has a rainy season. The rainy season starts about the middle or end of December, and it lasts until about the middle or end of April. Sometimes it goes a little bit into May. That's throughout the whole country. Now, some areas get more rain than others. The Azores Peninsula on the eastern side only gets about 40 inches of rain. Boquete, where I live, gets about 120 to 150 inches of rain a year. I know El Valle last year got over 200 inches of rain. Panama City also got over 200 inches of rain last year. So if you like rain, Panama is a good place to be. We are in the tropics. That rain is what makes everything lush and beautiful and green all year long. Also, the majority of the electricity in Panama is generated by hydroelectric plants. So the water powers those hydroelectric plants. So we need that rain for electricity. Someone had a question about international schools, and I can't find it. It's already scrolled up there someplace. If you could ask your question again, then I will definitely try to find it. Beach towns with the warmest ocean water, also best town for swimming, no surfing, is the Caribbean Sea, warmer than the Pacific Sea. We actually did a video interview with some surfing people that are from New Zealand. That they originally moved to the Pacific side, and then they moved over to the Caribbean side, and they said that the water was much warmer on the Caribbean side. And it's good for swimming or surfing, either one on the Caribbean side. That was their opinion. I personally, I think the water temperature is about the same, but they're professional surfers, and they said the water was warmer on the Caribbean side. Here's the question about international schools. So Jeff says, international schools for minor children. We've heard people quote costs that range wildly. Is there a good resource for helping plan on cost? So Jeff, in our complete Panama relocation guide, we have a list of international schools, and then you would just need to contact them directly. I can tell you that Volcan has the most affordable international school. It's only $80 a month. Gorgona, David has some international schools, and Boquete has one. They're in that 160 to 180 a month range with a discount for the second child. The international schools that are around the Coronado area tend to be quite expensive in that $400, $500, $600 a month range. And then the ones in Panama City can run as much as $1,000 a month. So it depends on where you are. The further are you away from Panama City, the more affordable the international schools are going to be. If you want affordable, then Cherokee Province is where you would want to be looking. Is it possible to rent an apartment in Panama City for about $700 a month? So I have seen on Craigslist Panama, I've seen some studio apartments for $600 to $700 a month. I know that some of like Coral Suites is like an apartment hotel, and you can get a studio apartment there for $650 a month. So it is possible to get something for $700. Craigslist Panama would be a good resource for that. It's a very good question, Gabe. Does a common law couple qualify for a pensionado visa together? They do not. Panama does not accept common law marriages. You have to have a legal marriage with a marriage certificate. Panama does also not accept, even if you have a marriage certificate, Panama does not accept same-sex marriages. They're just not there yet. Thank you very much. The guide is very helpful, definitely worth the money. Thanks for your comment. Does Panama guard their borders? So Panama, they really only have two borders. There's the border with Costa Rica, and it's definitely heavily guarded. There's also the border with Colombia, which is also heavily guarded. And then there's the Pacific Ocean to the south, the Caribbean Sea and Atlantic to the north. And we have something kind of like a Navy that's constantly patrolling the waters along the Pacific and on the Caribbean side. Panama does not have a military, but they do have something called the National Police, which is kind of like a military. And then we have our sort of like a Navy that patrols the waters. What's the average price of an apartment in Panama City? I'm looking for a range of 100, 150. So I don't think, Boris, I don't think that you're going to be able to find an apartment for less. Maybe 150 would be the starting point in Panama City. And I'm not familiar with any of the other information that you're asking about Panama. Is it possible to find a house to rent under 600 in the Azuera? That's within walking distance to beaches. Yes, it's definitely possible to get a rental for $600 or less in the Azuera. The 3 beaches that I would recommend where you can get that, one would be El Rampillo, the other one is Waray, and then the most expensive one would be Playa Uvarito. But in Waray or El Rampillo, they're more affordable, and you can get a house with the ocean view and walk to the beach in any of those. You mentioned to me about marrying in Panama. Can you expand on that? Well, you can come to Panama. You both have to show all of your documentation. You need to work with an immigration attorney to facilitate it. You'd actually go to a notary to get married, and I think it costs $50 to do that. It'll take about 10 days for your marriage to be registered. Once your marriage is registered, then you can apply for a visa together. Good question from Terry. Are the lawmakers in Panama working on legalizing marijuana? So they have legalized medical marijuana, but only for specific uses, mostly if you have like terminal cancer, if you have epilepsy or something like that. But as far as recreational use of marijuana, I don't think that's ever going to happen in Panama. You might want to go to Colombia or Uruguay or one of the other countries where it's already legalized, if that's something of interest to you. Locally, have you heard any news about Iranian naval ships showing up at the canal? Just interested. So I've seen all those same news reports that you have put out by mostly unheard of news sources, that the Iranian ships are over in Brazil or Venezuela someplace, and that they're planning to come and try to establish some kind of a base in Panama. I can tell you that if they tried to do that, they would probably get blown out of the water, because what part of the treaty, whenever the United States gave the canal back to Panama, is that they would ever protect and defend the Panama Canal. So at all times, there are U.S. warships off the north coast and the south coast of the Panama Canal protecting it. So hopefully Iran knows that they shouldn't even try to do anything like that. Wow, it's already been an hour. Time flies when you're having fun. So I just want to remind everybody to go to get more information about our online guide. Go here to PanamaRelocationTours.com/guide. That's a way that you can get all the information about moving to Panama and avoiding hassles and avoiding costly mistakes. But you don't have to come on a tour to get that information. It's all available right there. Also, while you're over at our website, Panama Relocation Tours, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter so that you can get our 15-part email series about everything you need to know to get moved to Panama the quick and easy way. I want to thank everybody so much for joining me for our Saturday live stream. We're going to do this again next Saturday, and I will be sending out an email about what the topic's going to be next Saturday. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I sure enjoyed answering your questions, and thank you so much for being here. Have a good weekend. Goodbye, everybody.